guys, Aaron Paoletta here with Cigar Lounge Talk Show and LaVega Cigars, and I feel like it's been forever since I filmed an episode. Welcome to season 4, episode 1. It's almost June 2024. Been on the road with my company LaVega, so now we finally get to dip in to doing cigars and interviewing some people. Tonight, we're actually kicking it off here at the Grand Resort again. Yes, we always come over here. Jovan was kind enough to invite us out because Micky Pegg from All Saints is inside, so let's head in and talk to him. All right, guys, we are inside the Grand Resort here, and I have the distinct pleasure of sitting down with Mr. Micky Pegg. Micky, thanks for taking the time to...
Thanks for having me. I love the hat.
Oh, dude, everybody loves this hat. This has become my thing.
Yeah.
So when I was with my my band and I was touring across the country,
right,
the labels always said create an image.
Right.
This is now my image.
I kind of went through that too. It's kind of funny for a fat guy like trying to. With the bald head, the
feel
glasses.
you on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm buying bigger jackets, so I'm good.
Fat guy in a little coat?
Yeah.
Classic. So I want to get real quick, I want to dive into your past a little bit because I'm always curious to how people end up where they end up.
Yeah, the origin story.
So you started with a senator interning way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day, and I like cigars. I come from a family of not really cigar guys. My great-great-grandfather, I believe it was my great-great, had a shop when he emigrated from Germany to Cincinnati, and then actually had it up in Michigan. But I don't tell that story much because it's like, I don't want to sound like I have this kind of lineage. And I remember my great-grandfather smoking cigars, but I was always fascinated by cigars and pipes from a young age in high school. And back then, I grew up in Florida, so nobody carded for anything.
The good old
beverage,
days.
Cigar,
Yeah, the good old days.
Right. And I went to college in D.C., and I found Georgetown Tobacco, which is on the other side of town from where I went to college. I went to college at Catholic University. That's where I met my wife, and I have 2 daughters there now. But, and then I had to go fetch cigars. It was called a Juan Clemente. His name was Jean Clement, but he Spanish-sized his name when he came out with the cigar. And at that time, that was really one of the only premium cigars out there. So I had to go fetch for the senator, and I went and fetched these cigars so much. David Berkebile, and I named one of my Patolas, actually, I'll get you one of them. His name Berkey is my Robusto, and my dedication line is named after him.
And he gave you the start in the industry.
Yeah, he gave me the start. He said, listen, you want a job? And you had to work 20 hours a week.
Such a shame.
And it was like 6 to 9, and I was working on the hill, doing all this other stuff. And even when I was working the door, I didn't have to get there until 10 o'clock.
You got plenty of time then.
And I'm hyperactive, so I'm working at the shop 6, and then you had to work one weekend. And I got off before my buddies, so
it was perfect.
Yeah, I didn't get a paycheck for 2 years. Because we had timesheets that you actually physically wrote for 2 weeks. On the back, you wrote whatever you got, and then they put on your paycheck. Sometimes I had to walk up to a checkbook to clear up my balance. But I wasn't the only part-timer that.
Yeah, sometimes people just forget. They just get so busy they forget.
But David Berkebile did a very good job of not charging us, of wholesale, always getting them when a new cigar came in. He would make the cigar purveyor, give us cigars to smoke. And if you show, just like today, I mean, you know this side of the business, you find somebody that's a real advocate for you in that store. They got plenty of cigars they don't have to pay for.
You got that right. I do that all the time. You want them
to have that cigar in your mouth, in their mouth, when somebody comes into the store.
Yep. I always make sure I find, when I go into a new retailer, because I just celebrated my 1 year in business on May 11th. Thank you. And we're in 26 retailers.
In business or the industry? Longer than that.
No, just my cigars on the market. I've only been in the business about 4 years.
Okay.
And about 26 retailers, and there's a certain employee at each lounge that just loves your stuff, and I make
you
sure
gotta
that
identify them sometimes.
Yep, and I just make sure they've always got a LaVega cigar in their mouth. But enough about me. This is about you. So right after that,
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this industry.
it is. It is.
And I have a lot of big boy friends too, just from being in the industry so long.
Yep. But Davidoff came and quickly got you after that, didn't they?
So what happened was Davidoff had all brokers. They didn't have a direct sales team. And they were growing leaps and bounds. First of all, they already had an established market overseas. They had a ton of money to come to market in the United States. And now they're going to have direct. So I was one of their first direct salespeople.
Oh, nice.
I was fairly young at that time. I think I was 27, 28. I don't know. If you look at my LinkedIn, you know.
Now, did you go after that, or did they seek you out?
They came to me.
Because I do have a quote. I want to say this. I actually had to look you up a little bit here. And it said, quote, "So you're going to pay me to smoke cigars and go visit cigar shops." Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. And it was not as easy as I thought that quote is, as a lot of people get fascinated with our industry. There's a lot more than that. And I worked at Georgetown Tobacco, and at that time, they were a very large Davidoff account. So I'm like, I'm going to turn all these freaking accounts into a Davidoff. Like, because we sold other stuff besides Davidoff. So you had appointed merchants that only got the white label, as we called it back then.
Right.
And then you had the other ones. And I learned a lot of lessons really, really quickly.
I'm going to tell you, just from doing this for a year myself, and anybody who's met me out there, they all know, it's not easy. Because you got to be your own sales rep, and people think that, oh, you're just going and smoke. Like my wife always says all the time, oh, you're just going to smoke cigars. What a hard life, bro. No, it is. It is hard.
I think in this world too, or in a lot of kind of sales worlds, I ended up going to the financial markets. That's a whole little long story. You're only as good as your spouse or your partner's going to let you be.
That's true.
And I've seen a lot of guys, unfortunately, go through divorces and stuff like that because the wife didn't understand. I saw this in the financial markets too.
Right.
They spent every nickel that guy's making. The guys are making $750, 1.2 a year. Those wives were spending it faster than they could make it, but still pissed at them that they had to stay in a hotel room and travel. Like, you got to be vertical. You got to be present.
My wife and I have this understanding. She knows that I really don't want to go because I would rather just be with her. But she's been just my core and my jet fuel. Because without her and my mother, man, they push me to. That's why I do everything I do, because they drive me to do it.
I got a wife and 3 daughters, so me starting my own company at 50 or 49 was like, well, it actually kind of started when I was 47. So whatever, because I didn't tell people I was coming back into the market until November 1st, All Saints Day in 2019.
Oh. So
and my first regular production came in February 2020, which was a great year for cigars. COVID really enhanced that.
Yeah, because there was nothing else to do.
And people were smoking, but we were still behind the curtain. So.
Right. Well, I only recently found out about All Saints. There's a lounge over in Bessemer, Pennsylvania, the Cigar Vault.
Yeah, Cigar Vault.
Joey's the one. Joey.
He's a bourbon fanatic.
Yeah. He's an everything for it. That boy just loves
wear a 3-piece suit?
No, he doesn't actually. He wears an Irishman's cap and jeans and a tucked-in shirt.
Well, hopefully I'm going to see him tomorrow, so I'm going to try to see him.
Well, he's recovering from a little bit of bronchitis, but you can talk to him about that.
Yeah.
But no, that's where I first saw it. Yeah. All Saints. That's where I first started trying because they were over there.
Yeah, Mark brought me in about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mark Holby, he's cool people. I love it. So I want to get to the next thing. You ended up going to pretty high up in CAO.
Yeah. So what happened was I hyper-accelerated at Davidoff in a sense. I got national exposure at Davidoff because we had to, it was awesome that we had to, take our appointed merchants, our best customers, down to the DR. And it was part of the training program. Well, I get down there, and this guy by the name of Raymond Schur, which was the global ambassador for Davidoff, and he was Zeno Davidoff's best friend and much younger than Zeno, but he was still up there. And he goes, this Micky guy, I want him down here, because I ended up having to do the factory tours, which was so far ahead of the game at that time, because there was like a loss in translation when people were trying to do Spanish and translate, and I knew the stuff inside out, so I would take over and help not so much translate, I had it memorized in English.
Right.
My Spanish has always been okay. So that was it. I got national exposure there. Unfortunately, our national sales manager, Jeff Lee, one of my greatest mentors in my life, and Al Rep before him, got a little sick with eye cancer. So I kind of stepped in a little bit to help out with the reporting and with all the rest of the sales force. I remember calling my grandfather. I was like, hey, I got all these sales guys, and they're like 10, 15 years older than me. How do I talk to them? He goes, are there numbers? Are there numbers? Like they're all incredible. He goes, stay out of their way.
Yep.
And he goes, right now, when you travel with those guys, you act, or when you're talking to them on the phone, talk to them like they're your boss, and they're going to give you a lot of inside baseball. So that kind of morphed, and I was traveling quite a bit, even though I had this territory. I met Tim Oscar, and he brought me over
Oh,
to
nice.
be national sales manager, then VP of sales at CIO, and his family owned.
Right. And you said that was your favorite time because of the team you worked with.
We had the best. We put together the best team I think that's ever existed in the industry. There's some great teams out there right now. I mean, I'm talking about guys behind the scene that you can see, like Michael Trevi, Adam Shepard, CFO, John Huber, you obviously would know, Mike Condor. There were so many people at every engine in this boat we had the best of the best. And just excited to be there. We had so much fun together.
That's nice when you have a team like that.
And I was a little tough on the guys, like Miguel Sodell will say I was tough, but
Sometimes you have to be though.
yeah, but I was very protective of those guys, extremely protective.
No, that's a good thing though. So all your experience, you inevitably had started your own company. But my question to you is, this merger you guys did with McAuliffe.
It wasn't a merger, it was a partnership.
Or partnership. So when did this take effect officially?
About 9 months ago, and now it's unwinding. So Jeremy's with us through June. We're still friends. It's like two brothers with two different personalities and two different things, and we're a much better company than we were before. And quietly behind the scenes, I'm still gonna bug Dan and bug Amanda, and they're helping us out with a couple other things as we transition. Especially Ohio is a very difficult state to deal with.
Tell me about it.
So
I know that firsthand.
Yeah. So it's a mini California. So yeah, I mean it's been great. So.
Good.
But it was, but it's all in a good place, good fun, and everything you read in that press release is completely accurate.
Nice. So I do have. It's always my final question I ask because it gives people who see this show an opportunity. Do you have anything new coming out or anything that you want to highlight for people to be on the watch for?
I have a blend done, artwork pretty much done. The cigars are rolled. We might save those for 2025. And I'm working on a project in a different country right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So good things to look for coming up soon then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the country, but but I don't want to make any promises until soon. But we will definitely have something that we bring to market by our 5th anniversary, which is November 1st.
Nice, November 1st. Well, you heard it there. November 1st, that's his anniversary. Is there anything else you'd like to tell people?
Just thank you for all the support. Keep smoking, and make sure you take care of your local brick and mortar, and be patient and listen to the staff.
That's true. That's
it's
true.
The most knowledgeable staff in the history, pound for pound, right now in the brick and mortars.
Nice. Well, Micky, I appreciate you letting me take some
thanks
time.
for having me. I really
appreciate it. Guys, go check out All Saints, the man himself, Micky Pegg.
I'm going to steal his watch when he's done.
I got more. My wife buys me these things all the time. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy your smokes.
This is Matt Frampton. He's from Heidelberg. He's our rep he gets all these great wines and ports in. So thank you to Heidelberg, thank you to Matt. Our selection, our wine selection is a lot due to Heidelberg and Matt Frampton, so thank you very much for coming and being a part of the Grand Resort. And then Russell Wright, he's the rep for Sanderman ports, so he's going to just tell you about the ports that you got to try today. So
Yeah. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and thanks for having me, Jovan. This is a great event, and when they asked me to come in and pair the ports up with cigars, I was all for it. So hopefully you've had a chance to try through the 4 ports that we had here tonight. We started off with a port cocktail, which is made with a white port, which is made the same way the other ports are made, just made with white grapes. The second wine you would have had was the Ruby port. It's our Founders Reserve Ruby port. It's made from our finest lots in Portugal. And then we finished with a 10-year tawny and a 20-year tawny. So let's just talk a little bit about Sandeman real quick. Sandeman has been around for 233 years. 1790 was the first production date. Now, we were making port long before that, in the 1600s, and that was due to, really, it started all with kind of the conflict between the English and the French. And French decided they weren't going to sell wine to the English any longer, and the English decided they weren't going to buy wine from the French any longer. So the English traveled down to Portugal, bought their wine, and transported it back to England. The problem was, by the time they got it back to England, it was spoiled. So it was actually 2 brothers in the 1600s that decided one of the things they could do is fortify the wine. So they actually added a spirit to the wine. They knew that would preserve it, and that was when port was born. Now, it didn't become port, it wasn't called port, until really the late 1600s, early 1700s, when the city of Porto, as most of us know now, was born. And that's where port, the name port, came from, the city of Porto. So if you travel to Portugal, by the way, how many of you been to Portugal? So Portugal right now for 3 years in a row, it's surprising because when I ask that question, most of the room raises their hand. Portugal for the 3rd year in a row now is the #1 destination for U.S. travelers. This year already, 2.5 million people from the U.S. have traveled to Portugal. It's the largest travel destination this year by a long shot for U.S. travelers. Why is that? Well, Portugal is easy to get to. You just hop over the pond. It's a 5-hour flight. When you get there, everyone speaks English. The students are required to know English before they graduate from high school. So it's very friendly. The food is amazing. The wine is even better. And you can have a 5-star meal for $100. It's absolutely incredible. Go to Portugal, definitely. Sandeman today is the most awarded port brand in the world. It also is the #1 selling port brand in the U.S. market. And it's named after our founder, George Sandeman. And he actually started up business when they started bringing the port back from Portugal. He started up a little wine shop in London, and then eventually started his own winery in Portugal, which is located in the Douro, which is where all ports are produced. It was the first demarcated and regulated market in the world. Before Hungary, before Chianti, there's a lot of people that'll argue that, but it is the #1, the oldest regulated region in the world. So a little bit more about the ports. The difference between the Ruby and the 10 and 20 year, the Ruby is made with the same grapes as the 10 and 20 year tawny. The only difference is Ruby is aged in huge oak barrels, bigger than this room. The tawnies are aged in small oak barrels like you would see if you travel out to Napa. Same kind of barrels. So you get more oxygen into the wine. They all start out with ruby, and then eventually as they age, they get that tawny color, hence the name tawny. The 10-year is a blend of 9 to 12-year-old barrels blended together for an average of 10. The 20-year is a blend of 15 and 40-year-old barrels blended together for an average of 20. Here on the property, we also have a 30-year and a 40-year that we didn't taste it tonight, but they are available. We also have a 1963 vintage port available on the property. Now, when I tell you these are very rare, they're very rare. They're going to be hard to find. So if you're interested in those things, let us know. These are for sale tonight, and Jovan put some incredible pricing together, better than you would find out there in retail right now, so take advantage of it. And I think these guys are going to talk about the pairing with the port. Cigars and port throughout centuries have been known to be good pairings, so hopefully you were able to taste some of them together. But I'm going to let the experts on the cigars talk about that.
So this is Jeremy. Jeremy's my rep for McAuliffe and Allstate Cigars. He's going to talk about the McAuliffe cigars. So let Jeremy talk about what you got in the pack, the two McAuliffe, the black and the blue.
Yeah, so my name's Jeremy. As you said, Jovan, thank you again. It's a great event. I travel the Midwest. I'm the Midwest rep. The McAuliffe brand is fairly new. It's about 8 years old. It's a blend of two families. Al McAuliffe, who made all of his money originally from manufacturing silicone. All the silicone you can find except for what goes in a body is what he's dealt with. And then the Gomez Sanchez family originated in Cuba, moved to the San Andreas Valley, wanted to get their cigars into the United States, go on a rolling tour, and their van breaks down in front of Silverleaf in downtown Fort Worth. That's where Al McAuliffe spent all of his time, smoking cigars. He meets them there, he helps them fix their van, has a conversation with them, asks them to make 1,000 of their best cigar. And he bought those cigars, loved it, shook their hand, created a partnership, got them a factory that's in Esteli, Nicaragua. Our warehouse is in Weatherford, Texas, and so that's kind of how that began. Right place at the right time. You actually have the Reserva, which is the cigar that he had them make. It's in the humidor over there. So if you're interested in that, he has them here. The two in your pack, the black. It's the first one in our color series. It got Cigar of the Year in 2023 through Cigar Authority. It is a San Andreas Maduro. I think we paired it with the third port on your list, and it is a medium plus cigar, very smooth but still very, very strong and rich. And then the blue is the second in our color series, and it is a San Andreas Sumatra. And it is already, I think, a contender for Cigar of the Year this year.
Yeah, it's already that.
And so it's two colors out of a 5 series. We have the red coming out in September, and then the green and white next year. So.
Thank you, Jeremy. If you have any questions about McAuliffe, he will definitely be able to tell you anything that you need to know. If you have any questions, Tom can help you. Thank you, Tom. Tom's working the event today. And then I'll hand it over to Micky Pegg, the co-founder of, you need support?
No, fine.
The co-founder of All Saints Cigars. Worked for Davidoff for 20 years.
No, but I was in the business for
He was
20-something business out. I
originally.
started a retail rep, national sales manager, VP of sales, and blender, and then
started the brand. So he's going to tell you about the 3 cigars. And if you want to pick his brain afterwards, he's got a ton of cigar knowledge as well. So Micky Pegg.
Thank you for that. First of all, I just want to thank a couple people. And I'm sorry, I'm working off of notes, and I hate doing that, but there's a lot of things I learned today and met. So, first I want to thank Aaron. It was great to spend some of his time with me on his podcast today, and very inquisitive. He's got his own brand, his own LaVega. Russell and Matt got a lot of port knowledge, and probably some wording that I'm probably going to use when I bullshit people in the future. And obviously, you know, one of the great assets of our company is Tom Freilich and his sons were here. Tom is an original part of our company. And it's just thank you, Tom, for being here. And thank you for bringing your brothers, because that means more people bought stuff, right? So, and I'm sorry, Vince, Tom, Dylan, and Cameron. Where's Cameron? I saw Cameron, Dylan. Thank you so much for making the hustle good and believing in our brand and making that part of your conversation when people in, because as a new brand, we need that, right? So, but all right, I want to keep it quick. So I'm going to just do a really high profile, get you guys back to your conversation, having fun. I'm only going to talk about 2 of my cigars that you got tonight. I might talk about the third. But if you have any more questions, I would love to talk to you. Come over, come up and talk to me. That's what I'm here for. And when I go home, nobody listens. So I really enjoy this on the road. The first cigar I want to talk about that we have is our St. Francis cigar. So St. Francis was our second to market. It's our #1 selling brand. It has an Oscuro wrapper from Ecuador, which that means it's a really darker, higher priming. One of the tobaccos that I will tell you that's in there is Condega. There's 3 major growing regions in Nicaragua, and that tends to get a little bit of salt forward on there. It really matches up with Scotch, and my partner, Frank Leo, is a Scotch guy. I'm a bourbon kind of rum guy. And it's kind of funny, before we had the name, his name's Frank, and it's a long story, but we got to it, and we came up with the name St. Francis. What it was is we were going through trademarks, we couldn't believe we could get St. Francis. We jumped on it like a son of a bitch. So that cigar got Cigar of the Year with Cigar Authority, Cigar of the Year with Cigar Dojo, Cigar of the Year, I don't know, got a bunch of Cigar of the Years. That's our #1 seller. It's a medium to full cigar, and it's in a relative price range. When we were going through this in the pairings, I really love the fact, the Ruby. And it's kind of when you put like a kind of a salt-ish cigar with sweetness, and I love sweet. And I'll talk about that in a second. I mean, I have a sweet tooth. And I cut everything with club soda. And the Ruby was amazing. And actually, the first one, I had it nude. The white grape juice, I thought I was like 6 years old again, like drinking that grape, well, no, but you know, with a lot more sophistication. And the next cigar I'm gonna talk about is our Solamente. And Tom asked me a lot of questions about this, you know, rightly so, he's invested with us. I don't believe in a lot of limited editions. I think they're bullshit. There's no tobacco in there that we found in some donkey's ass out in a finca somewhere. It's just, some of those tobaccos are really hard to get. So I do about 500 boxes every couple of years. And that one right there is our newest rendition. And we only did 500 boxes. It's a shape 5x58. And it's a really, really, really proud of that one. So when I did the original one, we could have probably took it to market as a regular production. Now it's a little tougher with some of the tobaccos that we were in there. And it's funny, I fell in love with tawny, and I learned so much about tawny, that word, because words matter, right? So I learned about that a little bit. So that 20-year-old, just to describe the 20-year-old, and I'm obviously cheating, color, beautiful amber color. You know, the cigar industry, we don't use a lot of these color classifications, which we should, because we want you to love that cigar before you smoke it. Aromas of dried apricots, honey, nuts. What kind of nuts? No, I'm kidding. Spice and vanilla. Taste, balanced. It's so funny when I'm doing blending and I'm working with the guys in the factory and I go, what's the best way to describe this cigar? They go, it's balanced. I'm like, no shit. You know, it's that's the only thing they can get out of them. But balanced, elegant, complex. Let's see, serving slightly. Oh, I love this. The pairing. They forgot to put All Saints on here, but it's foie gras, cheese quiche, creme brulee, apple tarts, and dried fruit. I will talk about tasting here in just a second. Is everybody kind of makes fun of these tasting profiles that we do. Most people work off a tasting circle. I work off a tasting matrix. That's the way I am. I'm special. I'm a numbers guy. I like bullet points, no more than one verb, noun, and maybe an adjective in there. But what happens is a lot of people talk about these flavors that they get. Everybody gets different flavors, right? We all have different sensory memories. And I'm like, I do it, but I don't share it because I don't want to get my balls busted in the cigar community, because we need muscle memory with these tobaccos. Because a lot of us that blend, and you've had lutes, or you're going to have lutes, or whatever, you take these tobaccos and you smoke them individually, just so you can see, because they might not go together, right? Or you think they go together and they don't. Like that first cocktail, I hate tonic. Absolutely hate tonic. I could not taste one lick of tonic in that first cocktail that we had tonight, because it kind of married up. To me, tonic tastes like burnt plastic, or Aperol, or Pimm's, or whatever. All tastes like burnt plastic to me. So it's really interesting how these combinations come together. So pairings are part of that fun. But that's enough. I talked too much about it. Very proud to be here. Took 2 years of Tom. Like, he was going to give up his membership at one point. No, I'm kidding. And I just really thank you for having me. Thank you for being so attentive after you've had a couple cocktails. And if you got any questions, come over and say hi. I'm around. Thank you so much.